What's up, y'all? So today I have a movement guide for you guys, and I'm gonna go through pretty much every single movement mechanic that's in the game, and I'm gonna try to do it as efficiently as possible, while also showing you guys examples of exactly what I'm talking about. So I have timestamps at the bottom for you guys that want to just skip around or jump around, whatever you guys want to do, or y'all can just kind of stick to the video. But yeah, I appreciate y'all for watching, and I will see y'all in literally 2 seconds. Alright, so before I get into any type of movement mechanic, I kind of want to show you guys the absolute settings that you guys need to do. So let's go into controller settings, and then we're going to go down to just your sensitivity. So your sensitivity, the only thing I want to say about this is I want you to choose a sensitivity that actually works for you, and in a way where you can do like a complete 360 without kind of like overspinning to the point where you're doing 360 like this, or underspinning to the point where you're like that. That's going to come in handy, especially when you're in the game, because let's say like somebody's like right behind you, right? You don't want to just do like a backward slide and you end up like right there, or you don't want to just do a backward slide where you just end up like right there, right? So you kind of want to just control your movement just so you can go back and then aim whatever you want or wherever you want. And so you want to have sprint assist on zero delay. It used to be bugged. I don't think it's bugged anymore. And then I would say slide, maintain, sprint, as well as sprint restore. That's pretty obvious. You want to just keep that on there. Movement advanced settings. You want to do I tend to do single tap run. You can do double tap. I personally don't think you should do double tap, solely because you're just gonna fuck up your controller. So I just say single tap run. Single tap sprint is similar to single tap run, but I'm not gonna lie, I actually don't really know the difference. I would just say single tap run because yeah, run it. And then the one last thing I want to talk about is slide dive behavior. So I highly suggest you put it on hybrid. So you either want to play on hybrid or slide only. That's because if you're on slide only, your slides are more responsive. And if you're playing hybrid, it's kind of similar to it being as responsive, but you also you can dolphin dive, right? So dolphin diving is pretty good when you're trying to get around the map, and we'll talk about that later. Alright, so now that we got the settings out of the way, let me start the video by trying to give you the biggest tip in movement that I could ever give anyone, honestly, and what kind of made my movement better. So I want you to just imagine circling around your left analog stick. I just want you to just practice this movement. Go to private match if you want, or go to like the gun range, and I want you to just practice this movement. And I want you to do this all the time, right? And the more you do it, it becomes muscle memory to the point where you're just always going to be in this type of motion, right? So for example, instead of you just kind of just doing this, you'll always be like in a circular motion, right? And why that helps is because let's say like you're coming up the steps, right? And somebody's like right there. If you're already like in this motion, you're already activating the setting that we talked about, which is sprint assist, right? If you're already going to be like moving your analog and activating your sprint assist, as soon as you see somebody, you're just going to back up, right? And I feel like that's really important, especially in your gunfights, especially in how you move around the map. Because if you're periodically just running around or kind of moving your analog and always activating your sprint assist, you could do so many different movements whenever you want. You could slide left, you could slide right, you could slide backwards, you could dive, you could do whatever, instead of you just standing and then taking that extra step to go forward or backwards, right? And I kid you not, like moving your analog stick, even in a gunfight, for example, if somebody's right there, instead of me just standing like this and shooting, I would want to just move my analog stick. And the reason why is because it activates my aim assist. I promise you, that's why like a lot of players, or a lot of good players, tend to like strafe in their gunfights or kind of like move their analog stick. That's because you get more aim assist because it activates dynamic. On top of that, you're harder to kill, right? You're harder to hit. So let's get into some of the mechanics. So G sliding is literally where you slide on a platform, right? On an elevated platform, if I could actually speak. And then as soon as you hit the ground, you slide again. So I'm going to show you the example or the difference between G sliding and not G sliding. So if I'm standing right here, if I'm just sliding normally, like this is where I end up. At furthest, I'll probably be by this light, right? But if I'm G sliding, I can slide over here, and then I can slide again, and then this is where I end up. And even if I get a little bit more momentum, I can probably end up like right here as well. All right, so now that we talked about G sliding, let me get into actual slide canceling, right? And everybody knows how to slide cancel, so I'm not even gonna like even bother talking about it. But I want to talk about how you actually slide cancel in Black Ops 6 with Omnimovement. So instead of your character looking like this, your character could instead look like this, right? And this is what you want, right? And this is kind of like the most basic way of slide canceling in this game, to where you slide and then you hold the prone button and then you lay down. But I'm going to show you a better way. All right, so instead of slide canceling like normally, right, or slide canceling like the way Black Ops 6 kind of intended, or with Omnimovement, where you slide and then you hold the slide and you lay down, This is where you can actually slide much faster or get on the ground much faster than you would if you just held it like that, right? So basically what you have to do is just pull your left analog in any direction and then hit the slide again, or you hold it again. So for example, you press the slide, right? And then you press the slide again, and it's for you to lay down, right? And while you're doing that, I want you to pull your left analog. For example, if somebody's right here or somebody's right there, right? I can just kind of just slide cancel like that, and then I can just go like this, like that as well. So you can just kind of just play around with this as much as possible, or go to private match and kind of just practice the timings that you do, or practice like the slides in private match, and then you'll get the hang of it for sure. So the next thing I want to talk about quickly is diving. So when you dive, you or when you land on the edge of an elevated surface, like you just put your legs on an elevated surface and then you immediately get out of the diving stance. So instead of you diving like this and then taking a while to get up, you can dive on an elevated platform and then immediately get up, and then it restores your attack sprint as well. So an advanced version of this trick is when you dive on a platform that is not directly in front of you, right? For example, if I'm trying to dive here, I might not always get that right, or if I'm just like, if I don't have an elevated surface in front of me, I can't necessarily dive because I can't maintain that attack sprint, right? For example, if that's over there, I can turn to where I'm clipping my legs, right, on an elevated surface, just so I can always get it. So I want you to think of yourself as a moving vehicle, solely because like you have momentum in this game and you need to keep that momentum to move around the map faster than you would if you were just simply just running, right? For example, you can get your attack sprint back in this game by punching, right? In the same way you can get your attack sprint by knifing, you can get your attack sprint back by slide canceling. So why is it that I see people trying to get around the map by running like this? Please don't do this. I need you to start jump sliding around the map, solely because for one, you can clear angles much faster, right? If you were jump sliding, and two, you have your momentum from you jumping, so you can long slide and then clear angles better. You get what I'm saying? So instead of me just like running around like this and getting to this heady, right? I can use my momentum by jumping and then get into this heady if I want. Or for example, like, let me show you this right here, right? I can jump. You see how many angles I cleared just by jumping and sliding into this position, right? I can show you, like I cleared that angle, right? I cleared that, I cleared that, I cleared that just by jumping and sliding. So for example, if I'm running here, I already clear that. If I'm jumping, I already clear all these, right? And now if I'm here, I can start talking about, or I can start doing what I told you earlier to like kind of like strafe around or move around your analog, and I'm already clearing this, right? And then what I can do is I can just jump and then come over here, and then I can have a jump on somebody that's sitting here, because if I'm jumping here and if I slide, they're not going to see me slide, but I can see them because I have the first, because I have my camera, I can camera them, right? So jumping around the map and like kind of like running around the map and jumping and sliding is just so much more efficient, because you keep your momentum while you're running and you keep your attack sprint. So instead of you just jumping like this or challenging gunfights like that, you can just kind of just challenge it like that, and then if you want, you can shout back, you can dolphin dive back, you can slide back, you can just kind of shoulder it by just sliding backwards, right? And then if you see them pushing you, right, if you see somebody pushing you in this direction, instead of you running back like this, you can use what I told you. You can just jump and slide, right? And that's because one, if somebody's running over here and they're trying to chase you, if you're jumping and sliding, one, you'll be a harder target to you'll be a harder target to hit. Jesus Christ. On top of that, you can jump and then you can get into a prone position like this. And how you get into that, I want you to jump, slide, and I want you to press the slide again. If you press it again, you go down into a prone position. It would just look exactly like this, right? And that's because if you jump, if you slide, if you're like sliding, and then if you press the slide again, the game counts it as if like you're holding it, or some for some odd reason, like you just go back into a sliding position, like on the ground. So instead of it being like this, if I press it again, I'm already sliding. It's acting as if like I'm trying to go down like that. Pause. So another thing that I want to talk about is just finding like different ways around the map to kind of just use your movement to your advantage. Like for example, like if I'm coming through P2, right? If I'm coming through I forgot what the actual call of this is, literally just called P2, I think. But if I'm coming through this, right, and if I know somebody's here, or even if I don't know, actually let's just go with the fact that I don't know somebody's here, right? If this is like a common spot, right? If I'm coming through here, right, I don't have to like run around like this and then come over here, because one, I'm a free target if I'm here because they see me, and if I'm coming over here, I'm a free target because they see me, right? Literally what I can do here, right? I can just, what we talked about, I can just run like this, and then I can just come over here into this heady, right? I can slide into this heady. Why am I doing that, right? I'm doing that because if I'm over here, you see how I'm sliding, you see how I'm running, like I'm running diagonally, right? Instead of me just running like this, I'm running diagonally, right? And by the time I run diagonally, I can see if somebody's there or not. I'm already like looking to see if somebody's there, right? And then now that I'm here, I can use my running momentum. I can jump and I can slide, and then I can jump and slide into this fucking over here, right? So let me just do that again. So I'm like here. So I'm over here now, right? So me being over here, I can clear so many different angles. I can clear that angle, I can clear that angle, and if somebody's here, I can just lay down. Or if I'm feeling ballsy, I can just come over here and chow or do whatever I want. You know, honestly, I'll most likely chow and probably die. So at the end of the day, I think a movement as like overall being efficient around the map, being efficient how you do things, and honestly just being a better player overall, right? And what's one of the most efficient things is running around the map and knowing like how to move around the map, knowing what you can use to your advantage when you're moving around the map and whatnot, right? And you don't want to be stopped by like small things as like mantling, right? And so if you don't want to just mantle, right, you can just pretty much on a lot of different services, especially like on things that are as elevated as this, probably not higher because you probably have to mantle certain things, but a lot of the things that you're going to see around the map are honestly like waist level, right? And if they're like waist level, you can literally just run and jump on top of it rather than like just running and then trying to mantle over it. You don't want to do this solely because, right, it just takes so much time, and if somebody's here, you're cooked. You're literally dead. Like, it's over. So there's so many different ways that you can just get on top of different platforms. For example, instead of me just running across like this, right, I can just literally just run and then just slide across it, and then like I can get there much faster than somebody that's just running over it and jumping. Like, I can just come over here and I'm already on this side of the map, right? And that's because like you know what you can do on certain things, or what you can do on certain maps, to where like you can be like a lot more efficient around the map rather than like taking different routes and not being as efficient. I wanted to add something as well with movement. When you're moving around the map as well, I want you to like kind of just always strafe and peek angles, right? I don't want you to just kind of like run through certain situations like this, right? I want you to always peek. That's the perk of honestly just always moving your left analog stick like this, is because when you get into these situations, it just feels so natural for you to just always just do this. And this is you just shouldering it, right? And that's because you shouldering it means you can see if somebody's there, and if somebody's there and they're shooting at you, if you want, you can come over here, you can come on this side, shoot that, or you can come back and you can kind of just hold this angle if you want, or you can just come back over here and just try to run away. All right, y'all, so I know this shit ran a little long. I'm not gonna lie, I be yapping too much, but I hope I taught you something, or you kind of took something away from this video, and I will see y'all in the next one, probably in the next couple of days. I'm not gonna lie.